Hello everyone, Super K here. I thought I would take this video to explain to you why I'm so committed to paddling. Ready to hear my story? Before I tell you my story, if you enjoy my videos, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It all started in 2010 when my wife and I were taking a stroll along a pier at Rocky Point Park in Port Moody, BC. There's some kayakers getting ready to launch from the shore. We watched them from above from our vantage point on the pier. According to my wife, there was such a peaceful look that washed across my face in that moment that she knew right then and there that kayaking was something that I would love, but hadn't realized it yet. With some protesting from me, my wife insisted we drive directly to a sporting goods store and look at kayaks so that we could buy two of them, one for her and one for me. After experiencing some sticker shock, we settled for two fairly basic kayaks. Of course, we know much more now, but we are at least off to a good start at that point. The very next weekend, we are anxious to try out our new boat on a lake with no waves. And you know what? It was freaking scary. After a few weekends of finding our feet in the lake, I bravely decided that I could try my hand at sea kayaking. So, off I went, my wife doing the protesting now and sulking on the shore because it was too scary for her. I dragged my kayak across the rocky shore, got myself situated in it, and pushed off towards the sea. Despite my brave outer appearance, I have to say that I was beyond terrified. That being said, my stubbornness and my ego won, and off I went to the sea in my not-so-seaworthy recreational kayak. From that moment on, I knew that sea kayaking would be my passion. Fast forward a few years, I gained more experience and ever-growing passion for finding new ways to challenge myself while kayaking. While some of these experiences were great, I need to tell you about one very serious incident that changed the way I paddle forever. This was my turning point, and a very important one indeed. On August 4th, 2018, I set out on a solo overnight kayaking trip down a river with a class 4 rapids and deadfalls. It was a risky trip that I shouldn't have taken. In retrospect, I did many things wrong on this trip. First, I was in a sea kayak, not a whitewater kayak. Second, I was alone and didn't have the skills to take on challenging water like that. Third, I was overconfident and didn't listen to several people who warned me against this and told me not to do it. On day one of this trip, I paddled 6 hours across a massive lake into a very remote wilderness area. I then put my kayak on wheels and exhaustingly dragged it uphill through treacherous terrain for 8 hours to reach the upper river hot springs, where I would launch down the river the next day. After a restless night, due to fatigue and wondering if I had bitten off more than I could chew, I began loading my kayak to launch down the river. At this point, a local logger who was driving by asked me what I was doing. And once I told him, he warned me strongly against kayaking down the river, saying that 2 jet boats had recently sunk due to running into deadfalls under the water. I thanked him for his advice, but was determined to complete what I had erroneously planned and launched into the river stubbornly, yet somewhat hesitantly with this new knowledge. I soon began to regret that choice as I hit the first section of the rapids. Not long after passing through the first rapids, my kayak hit a deadfall, which is a fallen tree under the water. With the force of hitting the deadfall, my kayak capsized and trapped me under the water between my kayak and the deadfall. I didn't have any rolling skills at the time, so I did a wet exit and held on to my kayak for dear life as the raging river pulled me downstream. I realized then I had to let go of my kayak or risk being pulled under with it. It was the most terrifying moment of my life. Luckily, despite being stranded on the wrong side of the remote river for hours, with no gear, no water, and no food, through a series of fortunate events, I was able to cross the raging river, climb up a steep embankment, and ironically get rescued by the same logger who had warned me not to launch down the river that same morning. It was a harrowing, humbling ordeal, and I am grateful to be alive today. From this incident, I realized the importance of developing technical skills to be able to deal with unexpected dangers on the water, mitigate any physical harm, and self-rescue when needed. I now know that it's far better to have the skills and not need them than to need the skills and not have them.